Today I'm going to show y'all how I took wonton wrappers, stuffed it with this cheesy mixture full of shrimp and crab meat, battered it up in a mixture of Italian breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese, fried it to golden perfection, and then topped it off with a creamy crawfish sauce. I'm telling y'all, it's pressure. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on them push notifications, and let's get into it. So boom, we're going to start off with our shrimp. You could use fresh shrimp, but I just use some frozen shrimp from Walmart. They're perfectly convenient, good size, and they're best of all, they're already deveined, so you don't have to go through all the work of doing that. But use what you want. Now, if you're using small shrimp, you can keep it as is. These were considered large. They're not that big, but they say they're large. I like to chop them up just so they can be smaller pieces. You don't want big, huge pieces of shrimp inside your ravioli. You want them to be nice and small. I like mine to look a little something like this. Once you get them to your desired size, you're going to go ahead and put them to the side. And you can really use whatever seafood you want. You can go with lobster, scallops, whatever. You can even use chicken or vegetables, whatever you want. Your options are endless, but this time I went with shrimp and crab meat. I got this lump crab meat from the store. It's already picked through, and the best of all, it's locally sourced. And even though your crabs are already picked through, you always want to add them to a bowl and go through one more time just to see if they have any shells left behind. You don't want to bite into your ravioli or any dish that you make and have those crab shells left behind. So just give it another run through and pick those shells out and then put that to the side as well. And as always, crawfish is a perfect addition to this, but since I'm going to be making a crawfish sauce afterwards, I saved the crawfish to put on the outside instead of stuffing the crawfish on the inside. And these crawfish I boiled myself, so I always freeze them and then put them to whatever recipe I need them in. And as far as the vegetables, we want to come with a holy trinity of onions, bell pepper, and celery. This package already comes with all of it. If you don't have it, just chop it up separately. And I always like to add in the red bell pepper because it's a little bit sweeter than the green bell pepper. And I'm going to go ahead and use half of this for the inside and half of it for the crawfish mixture that I'm going to make afterwards. So chop it up and then you're going to go ahead and put that to the side. So in a pan, we're going to start off by melting butter so we could go ahead and make our filling for our ravioli. Once the butter is melted, we're going to add in a little bit over a cup of our holy trinity. You could also use about 1 onion, 2 stalks of celery, and about a half of a green and a red bell pepper if you don't have this mixture already. Go ahead and throw that in there. When it comes to Cajun and Southern cooking, even Creole cooking, the base of it is most likely going to be this trinity of vegetables with your onions, your bell pepper, and your celery. So if you see this starting off a dish, you already know it's going to be pressure. But anyway, you want to go ahead and saute that down for about 5 to 10 minutes till it's nice and tender. And then we're going to add in our shrimp. Shrimp don't take a long time to cook, so you really don't have to cook it that long. And as we add our shrimp, we also going to come with our garlic. I've come to use so much garlic that I don't even buy the bulbs anymore. I just buy the whole pack already peeled and just chop it up, throw it right in there. It's so convenient, and it's a lot less hassle. Garlic is an aromatic that's going to add so much flavor to any dish, and it cooks so fast, so you're just going to saute that down for about a minute. Now, as far as the seasonings go, add granulated garlic, onion powder, black pepper, paprika, and Cajun seasoning. Just remember, if you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. Mix it up till everything is well combined. I'm telling y'all, there's so many depths of flavor in this dish already, and we didn't even get started for real. Now, I like to use a little slurry of milk and cornstarch. You can really add heavy cream, but I just think this is going to make it a better consistency for filling inside of a ravioli because it's going to be thick and not runny. As far as the cheese, I use this brand of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. You can really just use your favorite cheese or just use Parmesan by itself. Add it in there, and then we're going to come with about 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. At this point, you can really cut off your fire because the shrimp are already cooked and you just really need your cheese to melt. So go ahead and mix it through and just look at that. Yes, Lord. Now we're going to go ahead and add our crab meat. The reason for adding your crab meat last is because you don't want it to break up. You want to just gently fold it into everything so you can still have those nice chunks of crab meat and not shredded crab meat all into your filling. Remember, the crab meat is already cooked. Now we're going to go ahead and let that cool off. Now, when it comes to making things like pastas and doughs, I always find a shortcut. If you make it from scratch, more power to you. But I like to find shortcuts for things like this. If you go to your local Chinese market, they'll have many variations of different wontons you can use. You could also use egg roll wrappers, just cut them into 4. So whatever you want to do that. So you want to go ahead and lay your wontons on a floured surface or a non-stick baking pan. Once your filling is cooled off, I'm going to add buku of that to the wontons. You really want to make sure the filling is cooled off because you don't want the wontons to rip. Now we're going to come with another slurry. It's a mixture of cornstarch and water, and we're going to rub those along the edges just to help the other wontons stick to the top once we put it on there. Now, once all the edges are moist, we're going to go ahead and place another wonton right on top. Now we're going to go ahead and use our hands to seal the edges nice and tight. Make sure that the filling doesn't come out. If you have a ravioli press, you could always add it to that and make this part simpler. Now you can stop right there, but what I like to do is really make sure that those edges are sealed. I like to rub it with the slurry, and then I'm going to fold the edges backwards this way to make sure that that filling really doesn't come out when I start to deep fry it. And again, you can skip this, but the worst thing you could have is cheese spilling out in hot oil. So if you have the time, do this part. Now I like to throw them in a freezer for a little while just to get them nice and firm, but you can really fry them as is. You could also stack them on wax paper, put them in an airtight container, freeze them, and then cook them as you want them. But now let's get into the batter. First, we're going to get a bowl and fill it with all-purpose flour. You don't have to season it or nothing, just leave it as is. Our second bowl is where the flavor comes in. We're going to mix a combination of Italian breadcrumbs. If you don't have Italian breadcrumbs, you could also use plain breadcrumbs and just add a little bit of Italian seasoning. It's that simple. And when I'm frying with Italian breadcrumbs, I love to use Parmesan cheese. So just get some grated Parmesan cheese, not shredded. Make sure it's grated because it's going to be a better mixture to go into that breadcrumbs. Add about the same amount of breadcrumbs to Parmesan and then mix it till it's all the way combined. I really should have used a bigger bowl for this. I mixed up the bowl for the egg wash and the breadcrumbs, but I made a mess. So make sure that you clean your work area when you make a mess, just so you don't have no extra stuff to clean up after you finish. So stop doing what you're doing, clean up, put it in the bigger bowl, move on. And I don't know why I'm calling them bowls, they're containers, but let's get started on the egg wash. You could have different variations to egg wash. What I like to do is combine 2 eggs with about 1/3 cup of water or milk and then hit it with a little Cajun seasoning. You could add some Italian seasoning if you want. And then also I like to just throw in a little bit of hot sauce just to add a little bit of kick to it. If you don't like spice, you could omit the hot sauce, but this is just like how I like to do mine. Mix everything till it's well combined, and then we're going to go ahead and put that to the side. Now it's time to go ahead and get your ravioli set up. We're going to go with the flour, egg wash, and then breadcrumbs. We're going to dip it in that order. That's why we don't need our flour seasoned. It's just to help that egg wash stick. So dip it in the flour, and then we're going to go ahead and dip it in the egg wash, and then coat it up in the Italian breadcrumb and Parmesan mixture. You want to press firmly to make sure it really sticks, and then you're going to shake off the excess batter. Add more breadcrumbs and Parmesan as needed, batter them up, and now we're ready to go deep fry them. Again, you could batter them up and freeze them, or you could freeze them without the batter on it. I like to freeze them with the batter, so all I got to do is pop them out the freezer, throw them in a deep fryer, and I'm good to go from there and don't have to do any other work. But before we do anything, we got to go ahead and get started on this crawfish sauce. Don't forget, this is the best part. We're going to go ahead and get another pan out, and we're going to dump some more butter. Get it melted. I need all that. Once your butter is melted, we're going to add the other half of that red bell pepper from earlier. Saute it for about 5 minutes till it's nice and tender. And then we're going to come with our fresh minced garlic. Let that cook for another minute or so until it's nice and fragrant. Now, again, you can use the heavy cream or the slurry of milk and cornstarch from earlier. Then we're going to let that cook down till it begins to thicken. I use the milk and cornstarch mixture, so it's going to be a little bit thicker than what it would be if you use heavy cream. So keep that in mind. Now, this is why this is my favorite part of the whole dish. I use my own boiled crawfish. You can click this link right here to see how I boiled them. I peel them, vacuum seal it, and use it in a lot of my seafood recipes. Go ahead and throw it in there along with some fresh green onion. And just like the crab meat, these crawfish are already cooked, so we really don't need to have the heat too high. Just need to mix everything until it's well combined. And as you can see, since I use the milk and cornstarch mixture, it's a little thick, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it with some chicken broth or seafood stock. We're going to go ahead and mix that through, and this is going to give us the perfect creamy crawfish sauce that we're looking for. Just go ahead and simply season it with some Cajun seasoning, and that's it. You can doctor it up as you want, but once it gets to your desired consistency, we're going to mix it up, and then look at this. Yes, Lord. I'm telling y'all, this is perfect to go on top of this ravioli. Now, you can also do these raviolis in the air fryer or in the oven, but I just like the texture you get from when you deep fry it. So I'm going to add some vegetable oil to a pan, get it to 320 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer, you could also use a wooden spoon or a chopstick. Once it starts bubbling, that means it's good enough to fry. And whenever you're frying large amounts, be patient. Don't overcrowd the pot. If you overcrowd it, the temperature going to drop too far down, and it's just going to have soggy stuff, and you don't want that. We need everything crispy. So fry them in batches, take your time. These only take about 3 minutes to fry. If you want them extra crispy, just add them a little bit longer. And more power to the people that make the ravioli from scratch. But this is why I love to use the wonton and wrap it the way that I do, because look how it comes out nice and puffy, and also nothing is spilling out. We have all that goodness still left inside. Now you just got to add them to a cooling rack, top it with that crawfish sauce, and I'm telling y'all, it's that simple. If y'all like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and turn on those push notifications, because we're going to be coming with a lot more videos just like this. And just like my name, you're all done.